I went to Pax Prime and I had a great time. I thought being a cadet would kind of affect it a little, but it actually didn't do it. It made it a little more fun. The whole event was going great, except when it was time for me to go. Saturday night, we all went out, had a great time at a party. Now, whenever I go out to clubs or parties, I usually don't have pockets on me because of what I'm wearing. So once we get in through the door to the club, I usually pass my ID and cell phone, whatnot, over to my boyfriend. Sunday morning comes around and we meet up, we jump in the cab, he drops me off at the convention center and he continues on to the airport because he has to fly out that morning. Now, when he gets to the airport, he calls me and asks me if I have like my driver's license or something. I'm like, no, I don't have my driver's license. The only thing I have is my passport, which is in your pocket from the party last night. Okay, is there any way you can leave my passport at Lost and Found or somewhere and I could just come and pick it up, hop on my plane and get home? He's like, no, I can't do that, but I'll be fine. I'll be able to hop on my plane and get home. I just have to fill out some paperwork. There were so many things that I wanted to say to him at that point in time because the only form of ID that I had on me was my passport. Okay, I seen my teammates go through this process before. We were in Montana, someone forgot their ID. All they had to do was fill out some paperwork. But the thing about that situation was we were in a huge group and the airport was damn nearly empty. So that process went by a lot quicker. In this particular situation, I'm alone, I have no ID, and that airport is most likely going to be packed from all the people coming from the convention going home. So I was like, whatever, I'll just kill him later. I'm gonna enjoy these last 2 days I have here and worry about that when I get to the airport. Sunday the show ended, we all did a great job, we all went out to dinner to celebrate. Monday comes and it is time to go to the airport. I got there and I am decked out in all Ninja Turtle. I got my Ninja Turtle shell on, I got my Leonardo hat on, I have my Ninja Turtle shirt on. So I get to the ticket counter and I look at the guy, I'm like, I don't have any ID on me whatsoever. He's really cool about it. He was like, don't worry about it, you'll still be able to fly out, but they're just gonna harass you a little more than usual. So the security line was long as hell and my flight is now about to take off 1 hour from now. So I finally get to the ID checker person or whatever you want to call him. I was like, hey, I don't have any ID on me. It's like, okay, how old are you? Now, I could have lied and said that I was 17 because, I mean, look what I was wearing. I had my Ninja Turtle hat on, my shirt on, and my backpack shell on, some bright yellow neon sneakers. There's no way in hell I look older than what I'm about to tell him I am. But I was like, nah, I better not lie about it. So I told him the truth. I told him I was turning 24 tomorrow. And he says, okay, I'm gonna have to step you to the side and call some backup. 2 guys approach me. One guy has a piece of paper in his hand, hands it to me to fill out, and the other guy is just there, I guess, to supervise him. As I'm filling out this paperwork, I asked the guy, are you new to this? And he says, yeah. I'm like, is there any way your supervisor can do this? Not to knock your experience or anything, but my flight is gonna be taking off in like 30 minutes and I really need to get on that flight. And do you know what he said to me? Oh, you might not make that one. I became so irritated and impatient. So I filled out the paperwork that required my address, name, date of birth, and whatnot, and I handed it to him, and he's like, I'm gonna have to call the tower to confirm you are who you say you are. I'm like, okay, fine. This process becomes the interrogation. The first thing he does is look at my paper and like, are you serious? Is this a joke? I'm like, wait, what? What are you talking about? Penis? You're from a city called Penis? Wait, what? No, that says Paris. I was just in a rush, so I'm sorry, my writing might be a little sloppy. So he repeats everything that's on the paper back to the tower so they can start looking me up and start asking me questions like, were there any other places that you have lived? And I'm like, yeah, and I named 4 other addresses. Repeats what I says on the phone to the tower, takes a pause, looks at me, and shakes his head no. Is there a park across the street from your residence? I'm like, no, there's no park. There's parks in my area, but not across the street from me. So he repeats what I said on the phone to the tower, pauses, and then shakes his head no. And then asks me if I am sure. So I said, when I step out my house and I look across the street from me, the only thing running perpendicular into my house is another street. And along that street are more houses. Now, I don't know what Google Maps you guys are using, but obviously you need to update because you're probably using Google Maps 1967 or something because there is no park across the street from my house. He's like, okay, I need you to remain calm. I was like, I am calm, but in the next 20 minutes, my airplane's not gonna be calm. He then asks me another question. Who is in your household? I said, okay, my mother, my stepfather, and 3 kids. He repeats what I said on the phone, pauses, looks at me, and then shakes his head no again. Asks us another question. Do you know any of your neighbors? No, it's a fairly new neighborhood and we don't really have the time to do neighborhood picnics and whatnot. Now everyone around me is giggling as they're getting their IDs checked by the ID checker guy and continue on to the scanners. Now generally when it comes to authoritative figures, you have my complete attention because I know that my behavior is my ticket out. But the fact that I may be stuck in another state down to my last few dollars changes a person. So we move on to the next question. What is the phone number to this residence? I tell him the number, he repeats it back on the phone to the tower, pauses for a second, looks at me, and then shakes his head. I look at him, I'm like, what does shaking your head mean? You just denied my whole existence on this planet in a matter of 15 minutes. So a few more questions get thrown at me, and of course he continues to shake his head. Finally, he's like, come this way. I'm like, yes. So I get escorted to the front of the scanner and I take off everything. I take off my shoes, my hat, my backpack, my belt, any jewelry, watches, wristbands. I don't want to give these guys any excuse to make me go back through the scanner because I just don't have the time to do it. So I made it through the scanner scot-free and they are not quite done with me yet. They call in more assistance from a lady TSA agent because they are going to pat me down. Because the X-ray scanner that gave me a full 360 scan might have missed something. Now off to the distance there are two female TSA agents and one of them gets so excited that I'm getting a cavity search. She's like, oh my gosh, it's the girl with the Ninja Turtle gear. I was so mad that I wanted to take my turtle shell and just throw it at her and knock her on her ass Mario style. So one of the women, not the excited one, she just observed, approaches me, puts on some rubber gloves and tells me, I am going to pat you down. Would you rather do this in a room for more privacy? Well, what all are you going to be doing? Because if you're going to be touching me like that, you can at least treat me to dinner. She just smiles and tells me everything that she is going to do. So I said, no, let's do this right here, right now. My plane leaves in like 10 minutes. She touched me in places no stranger should ever touch me. She might as well grab my cootie pop, push my boobs together, and just motorboated me. I've never felt so violated in my life. Now, as I am being violated, they are going through all my stuff in my backpack. They even got these small rectangular wipey type material and wiping everything down in my backpack. Once they are done wiping everything down, they place these little cloths in this machine, and I guess it's supposed to detect if there's any chemicals and whatnot. They wiped my games down. They were even tempted to open up my brand new games to see what was inside of them. But one guy was like, there was a gaming convention and the games are fine. By the time I was done being violated, I had about 3 minutes to get to my gate. And of course, my plane is on the other side of the goddamn terminal. So I'm speed walking through with my socks on, holding my hands in my pants so they don't fall down, and all my other stuff in my other hand. As I get close to the gate, I hear my name being called. So now I'm practically jogging so the guy sees that it's me. He was like, that was gonna be my last call before I had to shut the door. So I barely made it. I was so relieved because if I did not make that plane, there was no telling what I would have done. And I'm pretty sure I would be behind bars right now. I finally get home and I am filled with all kinds of emotions. I'm angry, I'm happy, I'm exhausted, and all I want to do is just lay down in my bed and go to sleep. But as I walked in my room and the next day being my birthday and all, I see these sexy ass birds just chilling on my bed, and that truly made my night. From that point on, the rest of the week just got better. I got my Gears of War board game, I went to the COD XP events, I went indoor skydiving, I most likely will be at New York Comic-Con, so if you guys are going, make sure you come by the Ubisoft booth, holla at your girl. So until then, I'm going to be eating your babies on Gears of War 3.